everyone, welcome to the amazing, the uncanny, the spectacular, the super, mega, ultra force podcast. Yay! Yay!
Cool, man. How you doing today, Wyatt?
I'm doing good. What about you?
Pass.
Okay.
Pass.
I'm gonna have to edit that out. So annoying to edit out all the uhs, you know.
Oh, that was
podcasts.
intentional.
Yeah, I know. Alright, so we're going to talk about what we're playing now. I'm going to start off this time, because I never get a chance to talk, because you always get into these super long tangents.
I'm an asshole, yeah.
Yeah. But we all love you,
Thank
because you're an asshole.
Thank you.
That's the way it works. I'm going to talk about Dragon Ball Xenoverse.
Yeah, I saw you playing that the other day.
Yeah. How much interest do you have on this game?
Like interest or what I know about it?
It's whatever. I mean, how much do you think you would try out this game so far?
I'm sure I'd try it. I've never really been big into the Dragon Ball Z fighting games. I always wish they would try something. Like, I always wish they would take what they did for like the Game Boy Advance games and try to make like a bigger game out of it for consoles.
The one Super NES one seemed pretty cool. That one that was almost an RPG.
Oh, the one that we couldn't read because it was in Japanese. I think.
Yeah.
It was like cards and stuff like that.
Yeah,
that was pretty cool.
But Dragon Ball Xenoverse is a fighting game. It's portrayed in a different way from most fighting games, where most fighting games have it almost in a side. You know, you see both characters at all times fighting. Instead, with Dragon Ball Xenoverse, you are often you are behind the shoulder of the other character as they're fighting, and then you're almost in a chase cam during the battle scenes, which allows you to kind of fly directly at enemies and stuff like that. It's pretty cool. That's kind of how the last couple Dragon Ball Z games have been, and this one specifically isn't necessarily rehashing the same story that the other ones did. This new one, what it does is you get to create your own Dragon Ball Z character, and you don't have to just be a human or whatever. You can choose from several different races. You can choose from being a human or a Saiyan or a Namek, which is cool, or you can even be like one of the Boos, or even get to be one of the Frieza characters, which I know one of my friends would love because he's obsessed with Frieza. So yeah. That would be that's pretty cool. And then how that character is brought in is that Trunks, I guess this takes place in that alternate timeline where Trunks was from the future who traveled back in the past. He is part of a time group that patrols the timeline and makes sure to get rid of any inconsistencies. Like if something's interfering with the timeline, they go in and fix it. And so he needs a strong ally, so he collects all the Dragon Balls and wishes for a very strong ally, and that's where you come in. And he gets you to help him kind of stop this villain that's kind of causing problems with the timeline, where they're making some of the DBZ villains like 2 or 3 times stronger than they normally are, which causes you to oftentimes team up with Goku to stop these fights.
Which is cool.
Yeah. And there were some cool scenes so far that I've seen where it's like you kind of end up seeing a lot of scenes that Goku is getting his ass kicked by like a scene where Nappa didn't die, and instead he becomes the great ape like Vegeta is, and they're both like just charging it like Goku. Mm-hmm. So
nice.
Yeah, overall the game's pretty fun. The camera can be a bit disorienting.
It did look like it could get a little crazy,
and it does suffer kind of from the Dragon Ball Z kind of grind, but I would definitely recommend it for people who really like Dragon Ball Z. So if you're a big fan of it, definitely check it out.
I've been seeing that it's been pretty, like, review wise and like general consensus that's pretty decent. So
yeah.
I also saw that you were reading Earth 1 Superman, the second. You said you got the 3rd volume too?
I got 2 and 3, cool. And I love both of them. We were talking about the first one a lot, how we liked it, and then the second one, the second and third ones build up a lot from that. You get to see a lot of, you get to see Clark as this younger guy, and it's really cool to get to see him kind of learn to grow in these ways, and kind of the story takes place in kind of a more realistic version of Metropolis, and you get to see him kind of grow. I can't think of too many good things to say about him.
Coming to his own.
Yeah, but you get to see him come to his own, and then they have a lot of really neat twists that make the story feel like it's kind of in its own pathway. Like, you still have the same familiar characters. You get Jimmy, you get Lois, you get all the familiar guys, but then you get some new ones, which is really cool, and you get some new twists, which I like a lot. So yeah, that's what I can say about that one for the most part. Definitely check that one out too. It's very cool.
Yeah, I've been meaning to check it out because you have them now, so it's easier for me to get to them. But I did really like the first one. I've always been like, I don't know, like I always liked Superman origin stuff, like Birthright or like alternate takes of it, like Red Sun and everything, stuff like that. So it was kind of cool to see a little bit more of a modern kind of take on it. But I mean, yeah, man, Superman.
Yep, Superman. That's what it is. It's Superman. But there's definitely one moment, because one of the things we talked a lot about that is why we love Superman and why he kind of differentiates himself from the other superheroes is that he always feels alien compared to other characters. And this issue or these volumes really do show that he tries to fit in, but he can't really though, and that like everyone feels he's different in those ways. There's a very great scene where he does, like we were talking about, how he is almost portrayed as a god or kind of another force, and that's really portrayed really, really well in these volumes. So
that's cool.
Yep. So now, what have you been playing or watching?
I finally finished The Order.
Yeah, how did you like it so far?
Well, about that, I wouldn't really recommend it, to be honest with you.
So not at all, huh?
It's a very beautiful game. Lengthwise, it was probably, I want to say, anywhere between, I don't know if it was 5 to 8 hours, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
But it starts kind of cool, and you're kind of getting into it, like, oh, this is kind of interesting. Let's check this out. And at a certain point, it just fucking nosedives, and I was just like, I don't even like. At one point, I didn't even want to finish it because I was like, I know what they're gonna do. Like, the problem with, I mean, people are like trying to get like, well, maybe the story's good, like, but it's like something that, like, obviously you can see where they're gonna take it, like in the first hour.
Yeah,
and like they even kind of should, because the prologue is like near the end of the game, so you already know what happens there or what's going to lead up to that. It's just seeing the frustrating pieces that you see that are going to be put together that you're just like, come on, do something. You know what I mean? Like, with a setting like this, like, the setting is cool, weapons are cool, characters are actually cool. Like, the main guy's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Everything in the game should work, but it doesn't.
That's weird.
It doesn't work.
No, I feel like PlayStation does really try to find ways to have good franchises. I mean, Killzone. What was the other one? The one where they fight aliens.
Resistance and
Killzone are kind of fall in those ways too, where I think that like they don't have the greatest stories, but that Sony still tries to keep those things going. So do you feel like we're going to probably see a sequel to this?
It's too early to tell.
Yeah.
I mean, I haven't seen like sales figures and stuff like that. So I mean, the amount of hype this game had, I'm sure a lot of people bought it to warrant a sequel. And if they do make a sequel, honestly, I'll check it out. They could maybe, it could go in a more interesting direction at that point, but I mean, I would not buy it at full price right now. I'd wait until it's on sale, and even then, it's nothing really like. There's really nothing in the game that I would say you have to check this out. And that's sad. It's real sad.
That is unfortunate.
They should just fucking bring back Resistance.
That would be cool. I like Resistance, at least to definitely try it again. One of my favorite things about Resistance was that specific gun that shoots a tracer, and then you were able to
around walls.
Yeah, that was really good.
The problem with that game, I felt like, was that it probably would have been a better third-person shooter as opposed to first. There's like so many segments in that game where I'm like, I feel like this would have been cooler if I could see my guy, or you know what I mean? Like if it was, I don't know, what's a good game to compare that to? I can't really think of anything. But did you ever play Resistance 3?
I didn't. That was the only one I didn't get to try.
Oh, I have it if you want to play it. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, I'll have to check it out.
I liked it.
I mean, I remember we were playing Resistance 2 a while back, and that was always fun.
Yeah.
I remember the biggest part of that game was that big Goliath kind of monster that you fight on top of a rooftop, and I think that's the most memorable scene in that one for me, at least.
It was memorable for me because it was like a movie moment, because you're on top of the thing, you're looking around for for what obviously is up there. I remember looking around going, there's nothing up here. And I suddenly had a realization in my head. I was like, I slowly looked up and it was on the ceiling, like looking at me. And, and it doesn't drop until you look up and see it. So I was just like, it was like one of those, it was almost like a scripted moment, but it happened organically. Which is super cool.
That's pretty awesome. Thinking about it now, Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time does the same thing with the first boss, where it's just like, where is it? And then all of a sudden you look up and you have that.
Yeah, I forgot about that. It actually doesn't trigger until. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, I forgot.
It's a guy who's done that like 5 billion times. I know.
Considering the amount of time that I've played through Ocarina of Time, I probably should remember that. Oh well.
Well, now we're going to get to our main topic for today, and it's one of Bill's favorites. It's Aliens. Yes. The Alien series, especially because the new Neil Blomkamp movie is coming up, and then that's been a big topic of discussion right now. So
yeah, because I remember seeing the concept art for it and going, wow, that'd be really cool if they made that movie. And then a month later, he's just like, oh yeah, I guess I am doing this movie. And I was like,
it's really surprising that they were able to get on board with that, not only so fast, but just with all the cast members and everything. I know usually it's a huge struggle to get the cast members they want back, especially considering that series started
79.
Yeah, 79. So it's 30 years old, and then for those characters to be like, yeah, I'm still interested in doing it. So.
Yeah, I know. I think that's probably one of the things that really helped was the fact that Sigourney Weaver was like super on board. Like, yeah, I want to do this, which is, I mean, she said before that she wouldn't come back unless it was something that she actually really wanted to do.
Yeah,
and like, I was surprised. It was super cool, but I was surprised to see. I mean, that she was in Alien Isolation.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's not necessarily as big of a problem seeing for Sigourney to come back, because she did work with Neil Blomkamp in the last two movies.
I don't know if she was in Elysium, but I know she was.
She was in Elysium.
Oh, she was?
I'm pretty sure that she was. I remember that she was the villain in it.
That was Jodie Foster.
Oh, my bad.
I know she's in Chappie though.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I don't know who she plays in that, but apparently he would like approach her on set and like was just like, hey, I got these. Does this sound cool?
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, I know.
So, I mean, what would your favorite moment of that series be so far at this point?
Jesus. Ron Perlman shooting a spider in Alien Resurrection. I'm just kidding. No, it's funny. I love that scene. No, I love that scene. It's such a funny scene. It's like juxtaposed, like you're being chased by those things, and he gets fucking just like just like fucking so startled by a spider, and he fucking shoots it.
That's probably the best moment of that movie.
It probably is the best moment of that whole movie. That movie actually, that whole like clone scene where Ripley finds all of her clones, that's a pretty good scene.
Yeah, I think that movie is a little underrated with the fact that like there's still those cool moments. At least
there's a lot of cool moments of Resurrection,
and of course, I don't know if a lot of people know, but Joss Whedon wrote part of that script for sure.
It's super like early Firefly, and like smugglers, pirate crew all have their own distinct personalities, and they like banter with each other. Like if you think about it, like it's
So wait, we're saying that this is like if aliens met Firefly.
pretty much it's like the progenitor to that. Because
Makes me kind of want to watch it again now, thinking of that.
I got the Blu-rays.
Yeah.
The a lot of that movie I like. I actually like a lot, but the movie really takes a nosedive whenever they have the birthing scene of the hybrid or whatever.
Yeah.
God, I hate that. From then on, I just stopped watching the movie.
As a guy that really doesn't, I like a lot of the lore to it, but I don't really have kind of as much aspect as other people do. Why exactly was the whole alien hybrid kind of?
It's because whenever they cloned Ripley and they took the alien out of her, because it was born from her, it shared some of her DNA. So like it had human like human traits or strands of like DNA, which is why it would have birth like not like unlike what it usually does. That was the whole deal behind it. That's what they used to, kind of hand wave it. Say this is how it works. Apparently, I've seen concept of what it could look like, and it would the concept art I saw was much better.
Oh yeah,
yeah. It was. Damn, I wish I could remember exactly what it looked like, but it looked way scarier. Like it looked like something that. It didn't look like like a deformed person with the alien head. It looked more. Shit. You'll have to look it up whenever you can. I think you can easily find it on like people like post it all the time on Reddit whenever Resurrection comes. Like this would have been much cooler.
Yeah, concept art always makes things look just so much better.
Yeah,
I mean, who's to say if like the Neil Blomkamp movie will look as awesome as that concept art did?
Honestly, my favorite picture, besides the one with Ripley and Hicks, was the large warehouse like structure they built around the derelict. Did you remember that one?
Yeah,
that was probably my favorite one because I was just like. Yeah, it was just the scope of it was so awesome. But I mean, who knows how that's gonna go? I mean, who knows what they're gonna do with it? Apparently, I think I mean, it might be the last movie we actually see Ripley in, because I remember her saying that she wanted to do this movie because it was like a fitting end to her character, or like the one that she wanted to kind of leave it with.
So we could think about this possibly being the technical end to the series. What do you think?
I wouldn't say series, maybe just her arc, and they'll introduce somebody else to kind of center it around, which would be fine. I mean, Ripley's already had a couple run-ins, but I guess if they take out 3 and Resurrection, then technically it would have only been twice that she's dealt with it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Ripley's such a great character, and sometimes I do wonder like what really makes her such an awesome character.
For one, you kind of have to think about it like whenever Alien was released in '79, like Ripley originally I think was supposed to be like it was a gender neutral role. Like anybody who tried out for it, they would have gotten it if they liked them. And I think Ridley Scott really liked Sigourney Weaver because she was doing like stage work at the time, and so I don't think it was. I can't remember. I don't believe it was any type of statement about making her the lead. But just at the time, like it was like, I mean, pretty much. I mean, a lot of times now. I mean, back then, if there was a main person and they were the hero, especially in horror or in any type of action scenario, it wasn't a woman because they were, It's always that same deal. Like if you're the woman, you fall down, and the guy saves you, and then that's go on like that. So when people watch it, well, it's already like okay, this is different. And the fact that she's not like she's courageous, but she's not willing to throw herself into danger.
That's true. That makes sense.
Like whenever shit needs to happen. She gets it done, but she's obviously terrified.
Yeah,
anyone would be. And the fact that she's just, like her job is such an everyman. I mean, they were effectively like the crew in the first movie. They were effectively like truckers, essentially. They just haul cargo, so they don't none of them would have it. Basically just blue collar type jobs. So like it's just it's easily to relate in that fashion as well. And what was something about her, just her character in general. But the what I've always liked about Alien in general is that I always felt like one reason it's such a way to kind of like twist the imagery around in a way, because like it's heavily like it's unsettling because of how sexual like the nature of that beast is, where it will forcibly essentially rape your face to impregnate you, and then it'll burst out your chest and kill you, which is, you know, metaphorical and all that stuff for childbirth and stuff like that. But like the fact that for most of the like the chest hug or face hugger stuff you see, it's always happening. It's a way for like men to feel uncomfortable about, because, you know, on a normal basis we don't have to worry about that kind of stuff, and women do. And I remember them saying, I remember an interview they were talking about how like it was such a primal way to scare the males in the audience, to make them think, like, to kind of take that route in their heads, like, oh god, that would be awful. So it was a kind of way of just kind of flipping it around. But there's a reason why the alien's head is phallic. You know, it's long and just supposed to be uncomfortable on so many levels.
Yeah, there's a lot of phallic and things like that in the Alien series that really just kind of have those inspirations to it.
Yeah.
I mean, one of the people we can really thank for a lot of that is the art director.
There was H.R. Geiger.
Yeah, and you know, just looking at his stuff, it's just pretty much everything that Aliens is imagined to be. I mean, did you ever get to see that museum that they have dedicated to him?
I haven't, but I know Stan Winston did stuff too. I think he was only like in when he worked with like James Cameron. I think he worked on there too. I want to say he did, because if there was creature effects, he was like, there was kind of guy he did it, but the design all goes to Geiger. The original design of the alien had it actually. I think it actually had like it looked like a skull or something like that.
I liked a lot of those concepts that they had afterwards that looked like that. I always thought that was pretty neat.
Yeah. The Aliens is just one of those series that I for sure thought it was just done. Like they were gonna just make Prometheus and that was gonna be it.
Really?
Yeah. I thought they were just gonna leave it alone, because they had. I mean, when's there like since Resurrection come out, or Aliens versus Predator aside, have you heard like any talk at all of them saying like we're gonna make another Alien movie, just Alien movie? Like, can you recall any type of news like that?
No.
Yeah.
You're right.
I was just like, I mean, after fucking Alien vs. Predator fucking sucked. I mean, the first one, yeah, it's B movie, so it's whatever. But like, it's like, well, those didn't do well, so I guess we're never gonna get an Alien movie again. But
damn cell phone.
Yeah. But it's really cool that I'll actually get to see another one in theaters.
Yeah, that'll be pretty cool. I'm trying to think of now. When you say that we don't see anything about aliens at all, like, I do have to add that Dark Horse is still kind of carrying that torch.
That's true.
Because they not only have an Alien series, but right now they're currently doing a series which is Aliens versus Predators, featuring the Prometheus characters as well.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so you're seeing all three aspects all going at each other on that one.
Jesus.
So it's a wild thing on. That's the thing about comics in general, is just that they can find specifically publishers like Dark Horse will take a franchise and they will carry it on as long as they can, and
yeah.
it's fun to see where things can go. I know one company is still doing Judge Dredd. I think it might be Dark Horse. I could be wrong about that, but they're
I'm not sure.
But yeah, they're doing the Dredd series, not Judge Dredd, but
Dredd.
The Dredd movies, and kind of telling you like this is what we would have wanted to do for that. So I think that's pretty cool.
And there's also been the games too.
Yeah,
I mean, there's been fucking Alien versus Predator games, and they're you know, of course there was Colonial Marines and
now good time to talk about this.
Yeah.
So overall, you like the new Alien Isolation game?
It's so good. It's like I couldn't have been more happier while playing through that. Like I was like, this is what I've been wanting for so long, and I didn't even realize I wanted it.
Do you like it so much because it captures the feel of it, or is it more than that?
There's I'm actually going to touch a little bit upon this whenever I finally get done writing that article. But one thing I liked about it was that in pretty much every Alien game I've ever played, and I can't really think of one that kind of is the exception. I'm sure I'm missing one, but in every Alien game, they go, like, I love the movie Aliens to death. I love it. But one thing that people take away from that is they don't truly understand how dangerous that thing is.
Yeah.
And it kind of shows them as kind of like cannon fodder. You
Right.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
So whenever, like, you play games, it's like these things, like, you'll mow through hundreds of them before the game ends. Colonial Marines was awful about that. Like, they were just, like, they weren't fluid in their movements, you know, and stuff like that. But what's up?
I think that's a problem with just kind of video games in general, where, enemies, they have to find ways to make the games entertaining by having you constantly run through enemies, such as Uncharted, but when you think about it, a lot of times you want these scenes and these actions to feel like immaculate, where they feel like an epic clash between these two people. Mm-hmm. But having you have these moments instead where you're just fighting like hordes of enemies, suddenly you just feel almost like bored on this what should be a great moment.
Yeah, it does a really good job of keeping that feeling of like I'm gonna die constantly because this thing is so dangerous, but it does give you ways to defend yourself to keep up, because I know even on Reddit there are some people who haven't even touched Alien Isolation because they feel like it's Outlast, or it's a game like that where it's just what's the point of even playing if you can't defend yourself or whatever.
I kind of feel that way too. I'm still trying to struggle to get into it because I don't like. Now, I like survival horror games a lot of times, but I like them for other aspects of survival horror. I like a lot of the lore, or I like a lot of the interactions that you have with things,
like
atmosphere, stuff like that. I don't like being disempowered. I a lot of times like playing. I would say sometimes I like playing video games because they are empowering, because I get those moments where I feel like like a badass and stuff like that. And that's why I like video games, because they're oftentimes recreational or storytelling ways, to get steam off, or just to find an interesting story.
Totally, and I totally understand that. It's just that, like, there are a lot of times in the game where the alien isn't a factor, and you're dealing with like humans and androids, which you can take care of, and that's time kind of like, oh, okay, well, I'm fragile, but I can still deal with certain things. But man, when you spend like half the game getting chased and you pick up the flamethrower finally, and it charges you, and you can just fire like a bolt and have it like scream and like hurried away or whatever. God, it's such a good moment, because you're just like, yeah, fuck you, I can actually do something now. But eventually it'll get wise.
I'm talking about how that one alien in that game is like really like smart and like very vicious and stuff like that. Can we say that is one thing that the original Alien versus Predator movie kind of got right? Because there was specifically one alien in that movie that pretty much just dismantled the entire Predator group. So
that's they're smart and resourceful. It's like, it reminds me of that one scene in Resurrection where they kill one of their own to have the acid like melt through the floor so they can escape.
Yeah,
it's like there's a lot of shit that happens in Isolation, I feel, that really just kind of goes to show that you're not dealing with just like a mindless monster. Because even like whenever like it kills you, one of the animations before it kills you is that it like stalks around you, almost like it wants to see you cower before it kills you. Like, it's like, this is like super sadistic type shit like that. But I'm actually replaying it again on hard, because I played through on medium the first time. But I didn't spend a lot of time hiding like a lot of people did, or I feel like. I remember there was maybe like one or two instances where I was waiting for it to leave a room. But I feel like for some people, that was what they were doing the whole game, like just sitting and waiting.
I think that's kind of like something that you're kind of taught in other horror games. I can't think of what the first one that really tries to teach you that is. Maybe it's Metal Gear Solid, with the hiding in the locker rooms and stuff. But it's like survival horror games. Like one of their biggest tropes is like, here's a locker. I need to go hide in this place because someone's coming up here.
Yeah. Honestly, what I think one thing I took to heart was I was reading an article. It might have been a Destructoid article actually about basically telling you like what you can and can't do in Alien to make it so it's not too slow of an experience, or you don't, that way you can play it the right way. And like the last bullet point was like, dude, you're Ripley. Be bold. Take chances. Don't be afraid to jump in there and get shit done. I was like, yeah, you're right. Yeah. So that's the mentality I had like the whole game.
That's good. Yeah.
Yeah. Just play it like it would probably look like in a movie. Just don't run.
Yeah.
A lot.
So, I guess, Alien Isolation obviously has it probably down as, what would you say it's the best of any of the Alien games come out?
Absolutely.
Is there anything that even like comes close to it, would you say?
I would say on the opposite spectrum, obviously there's the early like Alien vs Predator games for PC, which were really good for the time. But an actual dedicated game just for Alien, it's like it's easily the best Alien game they've ever come out with, and that's due to not rehashing like story shit we've seen all the time, world building. Like the game honestly reminds me of like, it's like BioShock meets Alien, because like that whole station is like just I was getting Rapture vibes like crazy, just because it's like it's not destroyed, but it's certainly not in working order, and everybody's fucking scared out of their damn minds.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, because you meet a lot of people in that game who are still alive and talk to and stuff like that.
So, are we thinking about getting a sequel? Like, you think a sequel's in?
So.
Yeah.
I really, really hope so. I think they said it did well. I think they said it did well enough, and they already have ideas of what they'd want to do.
Cool. Now, the one thing you gotta worry about or wonder about is, like, say this game does well, but it has certain problems or certain complaints about it. Here's hoping that, at least for your sake, because you like the survival aspect of it, like, if they start turning this game more towards like if they have more action into it, do you feel like that would kind of steer the game away from like where it should be?
No, I feel like I'm always open. I don't like it's cool if they delivered another game like Isolation that was just as good, awesome, if nothing was different. But if they wanted to add a little bit more to it, I'd be totally cool with that. I'm open to things. Besides, if they were the ones doing it, I trust they know what they're doing. They obviously knew what they were doing with this game.
Did you ever get to try out the DLC yet so far?
No. I liked that they structured, because all the DLC is just that challenge mode stuff.
Oh, it's all challenge mode stuff?
Yeah, but the thing is how they did it, what they did, is that each pack is a different part of the station, and you play as a character you met or hear about, and basically it's almost like what they were doing at the time.
Okay,
but it's not really. But it's just dressed up as a challenge mode, like get here and do this in this amount of time or whatever.
Gotcha. Okay,
so it's kind of like I kind of wanted to play it just to kind of see that, but I wasn't too interested in all the challenge mode stuff. But I paid full price for it. I got the Nostromo edition, so I got the DLC I wanted, the movie stuff.
Yeah, well, that's what I was talking about. That's all based off challenges?
No. That's like an actual story thing.
Okay, awesome.
And there's two of them. There's one that's like the end of the movie, and one where you can play as Dallas, Parker, or Ripley. And you get to actually go and recreate the scene from the first movie where Dallas is in the vents, and they're telling you, like, trying to tell him where it's coming from, and you're like crawling through a small ass vent with a flamethrower with that. I was like, oh god, I don't want to do that. That sounds awful.
Yeah. So, did that give you like that real feel of nostalgia to do that?
Oh man, yeah. They have logs. Like they got like almost the entire cast. The only ones who weren't were John Hurt, which makes sense because his character's dead at the time when the DLC takes place, and Ian Holm, who didn't come back. They let him use his likeness, but he didn't come in for voice work. But like you can find voice logs of the Nostromo crew once, because they obviously visited the station, and then Sigourney Weaver recorded new lines because it's the flight recorder of the ship she was on, and she recorded an extra message that she recorded for the game. So there's like a little extra like little thing there, which was super cool. I was like, oh, that's so cool.
So does the alien ever do that ridiculous crab walk at all?
No. The
I still wonder what the deal about that deleted scene was.
I guess they were trying. They were like maybe this will look creepy, and then I think at one point we were kind of like, nah, you're showing it too much. The suit looks kind of weird if you look at it for too long.
Yeah. For those who are wondering, there is a deleted scene in the original Alien, where the alien at some point, I guess, when it's about to kill someone, it starts to bend backwards and then crab walks towards the person. Yeah. And I guess it's supposed to be a sexualized image where it's supposed to be maybe like in that childbirthing kind of
I
pose.
Guess that movie has a lot. There's a lot of suggestive shit in that movie that makes it uncomfortable in certain spots. Yeah. Like it's like there's one scene where Ripley is like she's running through one of the things to get somewhere because she heard that Parker and damn it, what's her name? I feel bad I can't remember her name. The other woman in the movie is they're getting attacked. Alien kills Parker and goes to kill her too, but like when it like, and this is funny too because the shot, it's basically like the alien's tail like curls up and goes upwards, but the shot they used was Harry Dean Stanton's character because it's his legs and shoes, but they used it for that scene, and then like it cuts to Ripley and you can hear her over the intercom and she's obviously like gasping before she dies, so it's implying that the alien's like sexually assaulting her as it's killing her, but it's never like confirmed or anything like that. But like apparently whenever they were filming it, like she was like, I had no idea about that. Like I filmed a scene of me dying like in a locker, and that they just added that, like that's the way they cut it together or whatever. Not like they didn't tell her, but she was just like, it's just weird they shot me doing this, and that's what they ended up using.
Yeah.
But yeah, I always did you ever watch the director's cut for Alien?
I'm not sure which version I actually saw.
If you did, you see the version where Ripley finds the 2 eggs on the ship?
I don't think I did. No.
There was a deleted scene that's only in the, I think it might have been in the TV version, but like she stumbles on Dallas and I can't remember the first guy to get pounced and grabbed. He's an egg. Like their bodies are morphing like slowly into like to make an egg or whatever, and Dallas is like halfway through it, and then like he asks Ripley to kill him, so she like fucking torches him.
So does that kind of, since they deleted that scene, was that kind of rewritten kind of the way the aliens are, just in character wise?
I guess it would be like, I mean, you could still say that you need like a queen and all that stuff for it to work, or you could say if there's not one around, then they do something with our bodies to start that process. But yeah, it totally kind of changes like what, you know, like how does it, because they were still mucking with the idea like what makes eggs. Well, people do, that's a horrifying thought.
Yeah,
so let's do that, but they cut it out. But I always liked that scene though. It was a good scene. It does kind of fuck with the pacing of the movie because it's like near the end and it's like shit's kicking off in all directions, and it kind of slows down for that one scene. So it's kind of, I can see why they cut it.
You know, we're talking about like uncomfortable, like sexualized kind of things for aliens. And Alien vs Predator 2 kind of had a weird scene like that.
I know what scene you're talking about.
Yeah, the pregnant, like they go, like the alien goes in the pregnant ward, and then like it impregnates like some of the pregnant women in there, and then and their womb suddenly bursts like a regular alien.
Yeah.
Or I think it was a couple aliens.
It was a couple of them.
Yeah.
That's such an awful scene.
It's uncomfortable.
It's uncomfortable
weird
and
ways.
just like completely like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm good. Sorry, buddy.
So yeah. Jesus. I see. I keep referencing the Alien, the AVP movies just because I know them better than I know the original Alien stuff, which is terrible.
I mean, but it's not. I mean, it was such a long time ago, and we grew up when those movies were popular, so it's not a stretch. But I've rewatched it. I rewatched Alien in preparation to play Isolation, and I mean, it's still really. I mean, it's a good movie. It's kind of I can see some people saying it would be too slow, or it's a little slower than most movies. But man, it builds, and then it explodes.
So tying into this, this weekend was Pensacon, and one of the starring guests there was Michael Biehn, and you got to meet Michael Biehn.
I did.
So how was that?
Well, first of all, it was hot in that room, and I walked in, I saw him, and I was like, oh my god, there he is. I was like, oh my god. And, like, I'm the kind of person who doesn't want to meet celebrities or, like, actors and stuff like that, because one, like, in the episode of Community where Donald Glover doesn't want to meet LeVar Burton, it's like, their image in my head, they're an actor, they're super cool, and if I meet them, they could be a dick and it could ruin it.
Yeah.
Or,
gosh, I would hate that.
I would just be a huge embarrassment to myself. And I pretty much was. Because I don't want to say, like, or ask him, I don't want to ask questions because I know that if any question I ask, he's been asked probably 100 times. And so for me, like, if I ever meet somebody, I just want to go, hi, I'm so-and-so, I really like you and what you do, and that's really cool, I'll see you later. Like, so because basically, like, he shook my hand, and he was like, what's your name? I was like, my name's Bill. And he's like, oh, hi, Bill, how you doing? I'm like, I'm doing okay. Can I get a picture? And I was like, he reached like to shake my hand, and it was my only free hand, and I had a 20 because I wanted to pay for a photo. So he reached out, and I awkwardly like was reaching for the handshake, dropped the money, and shook his hand. And I was like, oh god, there's strike one. And then he goes, yeah, why don't you come around here and you can sit next to me and we'll take a picture. I'm like, okay, cool. And I sat next to him, and we took the picture, and I was like fucking freaking out, like in my head. And I was like, wow. I was like, yeah, I really like the movies you're in, and I try to follow you, and I'm really bad at this, so you're really cool. I'll see you later. And I just got up, and then when he was like, okay, and like, all right, cool. And I was like, I gotta go. Spaghetti's falling out of my pocket.
Yeah. I know what you mean about the asking questions thing. I sometimes, especially with the panels that they have, they had the panels this week. One of my coworkers was like, "Oh, you gotta ask the people for I think it was like Star Wars or something, where it was like, oh, you have to ask questions if they can give any from. Oh, it was the writer who did Star Wars." Did one of the Star Wars books, and they're like, ask him if they're going to do any of his books with it. And I'm like, he probably can't answer that at all, so there's no point in asking at all. But I had some of that. I think it's funny when you meet people at cons, like, no matter who it is, you still have that kind of, like, trembly feeling to you.
Yeah.
Like, Neil Adams is a really famous Batman writer, and I've never actually read any of his. I guess he's an artist, so I've never really seen any of his. I've seen some of his artwork. He's pretty cool, but like, I've never grew up with him, so I never really knew like about a lot of his stuff. But just trying to talk to him last year at Pensacon was kind of like, hey, nice to meet you, and everything. Like, it kind of was that jittery kind of feeling, and it was funny to see a lot of the people, my friends I knew, who seemed pretty confident in real life, but then they got up to those people, and they wouldn't even step foot in there, like in the rooms with them. They wouldn't even go up to talk to them. What was funny this year for me was that the one person I did kind of want to see was Tony Todd, because he was like my favorite movie for him to ever be in was the remake of Night of the Living Dead. I loved him in that. Candyman, and my all-time favorite, Transformers: Revenge of the Fallen. You know, as he played the Fallen. You know, because he was like the greatest thing ever in that movie. But that was I walked up to him, and I was right about to talk to him, but then I realized that the other person I was with at the time had disappeared. So like they had walked out of the room because they'd already talked to the person they wanted to talk to, which was Sean Gunn. And so I was like, I was right about to, and I'm like, oh, I gotta go. So I walked off. So I was like kind of bummed about that, but at the same time, I don't really think, when I thought about it, I was like, there's like, celebrities are cool, but I don't think there's anything particular that makes me feel like in my like life or in my dying wish I could be like saying that, oh, it was just the greatest thing to meet this guy. Like, meeting them has nothing really to do with it for me. It's not like they're gonna die and go like, I'm so glad I met Wyatt.
It's just, I'm right there with you.
But I have a funny story to talk about for this one. So I listened to IGN's podcast, and one of their IGN podcasts was the UK podcast, and they had Mark Millar on, and he was actually talking about a story, or him or one of the IGN people, I can't remember which one it was, but they were talking about a time when they actually were with Brad Pitt at a bar. Like they'd run into him and they were talking at the bar, and then at some point some girl walks into the bar and sees that Brad Pitt's there, and she starts hyperventilating and she starts like seizing up, and then Brad Pitt goes over there, it's okay, it's me, I know, this happens, this shock happens. So she's like seizing up and stuff like that, and he's just like having to reassure her, it's okay, it's not a dream, and he was like, this happens all the time, I don't get it. So it would just be so weird for like to be at that celebrity status where we just walk up to people and suddenly they're just like, they start just having a seizure from like the overwhelming idea that you're right there in person with them.
It's so funny too, because you don't think it's going to happen to you until you actually run into somebody. Like, just seeing Michael Biehn sitting there, I was like, I grew up watching Terminator, and like now the guy he's right here in front of me, he's a real person. It's just like, it's such a surreal feeling. Like, it's just, I don't know. Like I loved going to PensaCon both years, but goddamn, it can be stressful.
Yeah.
Just like, God, these people are real. They're here. And Jesus, I sweat.
I don't. It's crazy.
Yeah.
So we're gonna do a special segment that we're gonna try out this time, and it is going to be the question of the week, or like the topic of the week kind of thing. And this one kind of formulates based off of the main topic, which was aliens, and the movie for that one, the Neil Blomkamp movie. For this new movie, what they're going to do is they're going to put this movie and place it, in front, like as a sequel to 2, and have it kind of get rid of or erase from existence the 3rd and 4th movie, which is kind of interesting, and it's not unheard of because there's other movies that do it. Superman Returns does that.
One, yeah.
I feel like a few other movies do it. I can't really name them, but I kind of want to ask: which movies would you think? Is there a movie series where the sequels were really terrible, but the original movie was so good that you feel like you could have a sequel that kind of erases those last 2 movies?
Even though this only got 1 sequel, I don't hate Ghostbusters 2, but it's such a it's basically just a remake of the first movie, and the premise just rubs me the wrong way.
Really?
In all the wrong ways. Because it's like how long ago did you watch Ghostbusters 2?
I would say maybe a year ago or so.
There you go. What bugs me about that movie is that at the beginning of the movie, they aren't Ghostbusters. They're like looking for work, and everybody thinks they're big, like just a huge joke. And I'm just like, did you not see the giant marshmallow man in New York? Did you not see ghosts and people freaking out? Like at the end of the movie, they were just like, "Oh, Ghostbusters, awesome! They saved the day." And then like it's like a year later, like, "Oh yeah, shit was last year, dude. That didn't even happen." And everybody thinks they're like huge jokes, and like they pretty much just redo the first movie. They even do you remember the courtroom scene when they put their packs back on?
Yeah.
Winston's not in that scene. It's almost like they were trying to go like, oh yeah, we didn't have Winston until later. And apparently there's a deleted scene where he's actually there, and he goes outside the courtroom, and the door's locked, and he can't get back in, which explains why he's not there. Like, he just can't get into the courtroom to help them. I'm just like, that scene would have been nice, but I also don't remember him being there in the first place. But it's almost like they were saying, yeah, in the first movie we only had 3 guys, and we don't talk about Winston, and then Winston's just back, and then they are a 4-man group again.
That's kind of awkward.
I know. It's just like, why? You had making a sequel. I feel like would have been real easy to do with Ghostbusters,
Yeah.
But I like it's like why I like the video game so much. They were Ghostbusters, and everybody was like, oh yeah, cool, Ghostbusters. You're a thing now. This is an actual job, and they're franchising.
Yeah. That's definitely an interesting question when you especially when you bring up those parts, because I mean, yeah, you're right, that is a bit weird.
Yeah.
I feel like in some way though, with Ghostbusters, they're kind of limited on storytelling and for some things. Like for that to be an actual series is kind of difficult, just because, I mean, the main purpose is like ghost busting. You know, they don't really go into a lot of back history on other things with it. I do want to say that if we were ever to get rid of Ghostbusters 2, the Vigo villain and stuff like that is really cool.
The paint, the whole like that, like him as a villain was cool.
Yeah,
it's just that the way they like. It was just the way they kind of were just like, let's just remake the first movie and it just won't be this cool.
Yeah, I feel like that was almost a trope of the 80s. I feel like there was quite a few movies that were like, let's just remake the first movie in the second one. I'm thinking of Evil Dead that way.
I mean, that's usually how sequels are. Sequels usually just try to redo exactly what the first movie did without realizing that you can kind of do something new with the same characters and it can still be just as good.
Yeah.
It's like, did you ever watch the second Hangover movie?
I think I did, yeah.
It was literally like...
the funny thing is, I think I watched the second Hangover movie before I watched the first one.
That's so funny.
So,
I mean, you didn't miss anything because they just redid it was like almost watching the same movie. Almost.
Exactly, yeah.
That's why I always thought Terminator and Terminator 2 and Aliens were so interesting, because it was almost like it switched genres.
Yeah, exactly.
And it was just like, that's really cool to me. Like that made me think like, man, that'd be really cool. Like, you know, I've always wanted to do like write a short story about a group of characters, but I always wanted to explore the after effects of things. Like, I always wanted to see what the mindset of like Chris and Jill from Resident Evil were when they got back to the town and no one would believe them. Like, where's that story? Like, I know that doesn't sound very interesting, but it's kind of like, I can imagine them going to a diner going, we're not crazy, right? We know what we saw, right? Shit that was dead that tried to kill us. Like, the ramifications it would have for just your mind to go through something like that and there'd be no action whatsoever. It's just a kind of like a character thing.
So let me tell you about a game that I've recently heard about that's pretty big on Steam right now. It's called Darkest Dungeon. I think I was telling you a little bit about it. Yeah. So, but what I didn't tell you too much about was that there are the characters have sanity levels, kind of the way Eternal Darkness had, and the longer they get freaked out and stuff, they start doing crazy things and stuff. But you do get to choose to leave the dungeon at that time and then go back to your place. But when you do that, you usually send off your people to the places they usually go to. So for certain people, they like to drink afterwards, or they like to go back to their homes, or see their families, I guess, or something. And those things help them recuperate from their sanity being lost, and from the fact that they're like, I just fought a whole bunch of skeletons and a bunch of undead things, So it kind of helps them kind of recuperate that loss. So I always thought that's a neat idea.
It is. I've always liked sanity or like gameplay elements and stuff like that. It's such a cool atmosphere.
You guys think about like what characters really feel the impact of the first story that they're in. Like for people that are sequel survivors kind of thing.
Dead Space 2 is a good one.
Yeah, Dead Space is. Isaac really gets tortured from those and start seeing some crazy stuff.
God, Dead Space 2 is so good.
Definitely.
It was really what's kind of the only disappointing thing about that game was
what?
Considering how cool like the boss encounters were for Dead Space 1, there's really not a boss fight in Dead Space 2 besides the final thing.
Stupid regenerator thing. That's the thing that bothers me.
Oh yeah, you can actually kill it.
You can?
If you can knock it into one of like the exhaust thing. I don't think you're actually supposed to kill it, but you can.
Oh.
I just always, man, Dead Space always, man, it really hit that horror / once the second game hit, like just that weird, like not knowing like what's going on type shit. God, really hit that button.
See, that could have been almost been an Aliens game, I would say.
Yeah.
You think? Yeah.
Because the first movie is basically people who were huge fans of Alien, The Thing, and Event Horizon, and decided to make a game.
Seems about how you could describe that game.
Yeah, pretty much.
I really hope they come back with some more stuff. God, and I hope that what my theory on the fact that Battlefield Hardline is created by the people who made Dead Space. I really hope my theory on that comes out. The fact that it's created by those people, and the fact that I think EA tries really hard to get their kind of Call of Duty feel out of Battlefield. I want there to be something where at the end of, because the way they've had Hardline story come out, they've said it's almost like you're watching a TV show. And in some of the trailers, you see kind of like the channel flipping thing. And in one segment of the channels, you flip and you see the ship from Dead Space, and then it flips to the Hardline TV show kind of thing. And I hope that when you reach the end of the credits, it flips to the next channel, and then suddenly there is Dead Space there again. And and then suddenly you get this first-person Dead Space scenario where it's pretty much the Call of Duty Zombies, except for in Battlefield, and you're in like a kind of a horde mode situation there.
That'd be so cool.
Yeah, that would be. I hope that would be their way of going, hey, are you guys still interested in Dead Space? Because I know that last one didn't do as good of figures as we wanted, but maybe if we put it here and you guys are interested, we'll bring it back. So that's my theory, and I really hope, in a week or two that turns out, because you do see a lot of Dead Space references in that game from what I've seen. And have you gotten to see the cool reload animations? They do like some supernatural ones where if you reload in a certain way, suddenly they'll levitate the shotgun shells into the shotgun or something when they're reloading. Yeah, so they're definitely not. They're definitely making fun of the whole situation and stuff. So it seems pretty cool.
I couldn't imagine a new Dead Space game on the new.
That would be so cool. I wouldn't mind if they just tried to resell me the HD versions.
I would definitely go through them again.
I'm open for it, guys. Yeah,
because I got all the achievements on Dead Space 1 and 2 plus DLC, but I needed a co-op partner for 3, considering there are like 2 or 3 you can only get co-op.
Yeah,
and then you gotta beat it like 4 separate times on like the difficulty, like the one where you can't die. If you die the game, you gotta restart the whole game.
Oh gosh, that sounds terrible.
I did it for Dead Space 2. Like you only had like 3 saves, and you basically had to make those saves count. And if you died, then you had to go all the way back, like to wherever you saved at.
I don't know why you punish yourself that way.
I really wanted those achievements. I really, really did.
Just wanted those 10G or whatever it was.
I think that achievement was like 100 points. I think it was called hardcore or something like that. The first game really isn't that difficult to get all the achievements in. It was actually a really fun game to get all the achievements in.
Yeah.
I mean, you do have to beat the game on the hardest difficulty, but it's really only hard at first because you don't have anything to defend yourself with. And at a certain point, it gets a lot easier. God, I fucking love Dead Space.
Yeah, same here.
Did you ever beat the third one?
I did. Beat the third one and the DLC for it.
I did too. And
they really ended that with a really weird cliffhanger.
God, I couldn't believe that shit. I was like, are you fucking...
Just as a spoiler warning, I'm just gonna say it, but the moon is a necromorph, and it's out to get everyone. So
there's a lot more.
Yeah.
That whole thing when like you discovered basically an alien civilization, and it's not they weren't the necromorphs. The necromorphs killed them too, and they were trying to build something to destroy them or to stop it or whatever. And then suddenly you're like, oh yeah, remember that moon that you've been seeing the whole game? It's just a giant necromorph, and now you gotta fight it. It's like, okay.
Yeah, that's crazy. As much as everyone gave EA so much shit, they own some of my favorite franchises: Dragon Age, Dead Space, and Mass Effect. Just hope they do them well and not drive them into the mud or anything. Yeah. Dragon Age 3, it's really good. So
I still need to finish it.
I still need to finish it too.
Well, I mean, if fucking Rock Band 4's coming out, I guess anything's possible.
Yeah, that's true. Oh, so how about this? You Rock Band 4, and then you can change the avatars or whatever, and then suddenly you have Isaac being the lead singer of your band or whatever for your avatar.
That'd be pretty cool. Apparently Guitar Hero's coming back too.
Yeah, I hear about that. Be interesting.
What year is it?
I know. We're dropping back like 5 years ago. 5, 6, 7 years ago.
Rock Band game came out like 2010 or something like that, I think.
So, moving on to our last segment, we're gonna end the podcast with some recommendations. We're gonna talk about some stuff that we want to recommend to our audience, and just talk about what we love about them and why you should check them out. For me, I'm going to recommend Batman Court of Owls. This is the first Batman series, or first volume of Batman that came out with the New 52, and it really showed the people who the writer was, Scott Snyder, who is still currently writing Batman, and is, at this point, I would say, kind of one of the become a very legendary writer of Batman. But what he did was he created a villain for the Batman series called the Court of Owls, which is almost a secret society in Gotham that attempts to assassinates people of high status, and they not only are after Batman, but they're after they're after Bruce Wayne himself and other people. And these villains, they're actually people that have lived for hundreds of years, and they were resurrected in this kind of interesting way as these assassins called the Talons. So it's kind of a neat play off of the old idea from the Batman series, where they would have the alternate world Batman be this owl man, because the owls, of course, are an enemy of a natural enemy of bats. So to have a owl be that is pretty cool. Mm-hmm. And just with the way the series is, it almost plays off Batman's sanity, because for him to suddenly realize that there's just been this secret society that's been out there to get him this whole time, and that's is just there at every corner kind of for him, it really tears him down. And so it's just a really cool thing, and I hope that gets utilized in some of the new cinematic kind of Batman stuff. I'd like to see that in a movie or whatever. Mm-hmm. And actually the new Batman animated series is going to have that too. It's going to I think Batman, or Son of Batman, is going to be one where not only is Damian Wayne in there, which is cool, but they're also fighting the Court of Owls, which is
cool, pretty neat.
The other thing I want to recommend is the new Doctor Who season, the newest one that starred
Peter Capaldi.
Peter Capaldi, thank you. I've only gotten a couple episodes in, but I can say that I really like it. It's kind of more the David Tennant kind of Doctor than it was the Matt Smith, where David Tennant was very much this, I'm this guy who is the Doctor, and I'm going to try to save people and do what I can, but at the same time, if I can't, I'm going to destroy you, to prevent things. Just, it has a lot of cool callbacks to some of the older episodes. So far from what I've seen, it has callbacks to the Dalek episode from the Christopher Eccleston series. And also it has this one of people's favorite ones, I think it's the Woman in the Fireplace?
The Girl in the Fireplace.
Girl in the Fireplace. That one, that very first episode is a callback to it. And that first episode is just really dark, and it really sets an interesting tone for that series. You have these robots that are killing people to collect parts, and so it's very dark and grim. And in that first episode, it really kind of put in question, like, is the Doctor this hero? Or is he even a hero at all? At this point, now that he's regenerated, he's got a lot of questionable motives and stuff. And, sometimes he seems like he's got his own motives, that might not be the best, kind of thing. So, I mean, how far have you gotten into it, you say?
Pretty much as far as you did.
Yeah, I've gotten to this episode where supposedly there are these invisible people that are always around us at all times, and I haven't gotten through the entire episode because it's actually paused in there. But so far it's been a pretty cool episode, and I really can't wait to see the rest of the series. I kind of got it spoiled, unfortunately, because there is a big villain of the season so far that is an interesting one. I'm not going to really spoil it for anyone else, but I can say that it's definitely an interesting twist on an old villain, so I like that.
I do as well. I really need to finish. I really want to finish it because I used to. Fuck man, I had a huge Doctor Who kick.
Yeah. Me too. I feel that last season for Matt Smith wasn't as good as I would have wanted it to be. I like Matt Smith a lot, and I like his companion at the time. Mm-hmm. But it's just, I feel like with the way what made the last couple series really successful was this overarching story, and I felt that last season not really having an overarching story really didn't really mess it up for me, at least.
I think the only episode I watched after I liked after Amy and Rory left was the one that Neil Gaiman wrote with the Cybermen.
The Cybermen one was cool.
That was a good episode. Every other episode, really, I couldn't tell you what happened. It was so not. I really didn't really care if it, like, I don't know. I felt like there wasn't. I guess that magic wasn't there for me in those episodes. The first couple like episodes of the season were pretty. I liked them, but they weren't anywhere on like the level of like the last two seasons before that with like the Silence and Matt Smith's first season. Those are such good seasons.
Definitely. The only two episodes from that series to me were the Cybermen, and the Ice Warrior one seemed kind of neat, but I really can't tell you that much about what went on there.
That one was an okay episode too.
But I think the Day of the Doctor redeemed it because that was a cool one. And the Day of the Doctor, and I think it's the Time of the Doctor was the other one for those two movies that were at the end.
Maybe.
Yeah. So I guess, but both of those I thought were cool. But what do you want to recommend?
Well, if it's not evident, I would definitely recommend, if you haven't played Alien, to go play that. I'll recommend Wolfenstein New Order if you haven't played it, just because the standalone's coming out in the summer, which looks really cool.
Definitely.
It's a really good first-person shooter game. Don't buy The Order, just buy Wolfenstein New Order, and you'll have a much better time. I haven't finished Lost, but I'll recommend that. So far I'm really into it. So, but other than that, I'll probably be recommending Earth 1 Superman whenever I get finished with it. Because if it's anything like the first volume, then I'll definitely.
Oh yeah, be
super into it. So go ahead and read that too. I'll recommend that. I haven't even read it yet, but I'll recommend it.
All right. Well, thank you guys for listening. If you are interested in any more of our things or whatever, you can look at us at facebook.com/SuperMegaUltraForce. You can also Google us on. Well, you can't Google us on YouTube, but you can YouTube us on. You can search us on YouTube.
We're on the internet.
Yeah, we're on the internet. That's what you need to know. Anyway, thanks for joining us. Bye.
Bye.